my guest is Malcom Mackenzie, who's very much involved in what the Delaware waterfront is going to look like by the year 2020. Mr. Mackenzie, I want to welcome you to Focus Delaware.
Thank you, Peggy. Nice to be here.
Now, I understand you're working as a consultant in helping many organizations in the area who are working on plans on the Delaware waterfront. You're helping them out with the ideas and all that. Why don't we talk a little bit about the Delaware waterfront? What exactly are we talking about? How much water? What are the rivers, the area and all that?
The Delaware waterfront is very unique. It's very large. It's a 100-mile stretch from the state line in Pennsylvania down to Cape Henlopen, the inland bays from the Delaware River and Bay. But, you know, with all the rivers, the St. John River, the Murderkill River, the Smyrna River, the Christiana River, and the Brandywine, we have tremendous waterfront in Delaware. A lot is still undeveloped, and people are asking me what should be done.
We're going to take a look here at the Inner Harbor in Baltimore, and I just want you to tell me if you think Delaware, if our waterfront is going to look like this by the year 2020.
I've sailed into the Inner Harbor many times in our sailboats, and it's a beautiful sight. But Delaware is completely different from the Inner Harbor. While many of the things that are in the Inner Harbor will be on our Delaware waterfront, they won't be located in the same way. We're talking about a ship like the Constellation that they have there. We're talking about some marine exhibits like the aquarium they have there. We're talking about a marina, restaurants, and other attractions that will end up in the Christina River. And it'll be like the Inner Harbor by 2020, but not the same. The Inner Harbor is a big mass of water. We actually have a better advantage than Baltimore because we have more waterfront to work with. There's more land on either side of the Christina and the Brandywine and out on the Delaware River itself. You know, we have a lot of undeveloped land.
It's hard to imagine, I know for me at least, when you look at our waterfront now and you think, gee, you know, by the year 2020, are we really going to even be close to looking like something like the Inner Harbor? And I know that Baltimore spent a lot of money and a lot of time, the years involved in fixing that harbor up. It's just trying to, is it really that realistic? Are we going to see it even looking that close?
Well, what I'm worried about is it happening long before 2020, and it'll happen in such a way that it won't be very well planned. And what I'm trying to do is jump the gun on it and come up with ideas of developing it and the ways of developing it and providing new, fresh, futuristic ideas so that when it does start to happen, it does it in a planned, organized way with feasible money-making adventures that will sustain themselves. The city of Baltimore spent millions of dollars. Before anything happened, Wilmington will have to do some of the same things. Will
we be able to afford it? Will the city of Wilmington be able to afford to spend that kind of money?
Well, for example, in 1988 will be our 350th anniversary. If we build the Kalmar Nickel, which was the ship the Swedes landed on in 1638 as a replica, like the Mayflower or the Constellation, I'm doing the feasibility study on that. And it looks to me like we'll have 500,000 people coming into the city of Wilmington. Now, the largest crowd they've had to date at any given time is 70,000 people. We're planning for at least 100,000 people when the King of Sweden and the President of the United States come here to dedicate that ship in 1988. So we're thinking big, and we're thinking important things.
Planning and thinking way ahead, too. What could go wrong?
Well, if, for instance, economic development is a priority in the state and everywhere, jobs. Everybody wants to get jobs. Well, the waterfronts creates a lot of jobs if you do it right. Waterfronts are also available land, and if the waterfronts aren't used, the land is cheaper than elsewhere in industrial parks. So about 3-4 years ago, our state economic development department talked Johnson & Johnson into putting a chemical plant down on our waterfront. And now they've blocked access, just where we need access to get to the rocks for the landing. And if you look at Plymouth Harbor, or if you look at Boston, if you look at Newport, where I've sailed into all those places. You know, I'm a merchant marine second mate, and I've been on all kinds of ships, and I've been in boats. I've seen all these waterfronts, not only from the land, walking around, but also from the water. And I've been involved in the planning of some of them because I was in companies that did it. But we here have used our waterfronts for industrial purposes only.
Right.
And we've got to get multiple use out of our waterfronts. In Europe, the rivers are all open to the public. You can stroll along the waterfronts in any major city in Europe.
Yeah, I've been there.
And you can walk down to the ships, and the fishing fleet is right there. Well, we're going to create a fishing fleet of Swedish shops and so forth down on the peninsula that'll be part of the '88 ceremony. When all that is developed, you'll find it'll be quite different than what it is now.
Well, Malcolm, I think it's a great idea, and I hope I'm around in the year 2020. At least I hope I'm in this area to see the waterfront built up. I think
planning
it's
to be
terrific.
there.
Well, good. If you're planning to be here, I'll be